Man, this whole time the microphone wasn't even on. How we looking now? How we sounding? Oh, you know what? Maybe I should open up an incognito tab and check it out. I don't know. Was the sound not working that whole time? Let's see. Let's see how we can work this out. Usually takes like 15, 20 minutes to get people rolling in. That's okay though. Might take a little longer than I'm trying to convert people from Facebook to YouTube. All right, I see it here. All right, I see it here. Yep, sounds good. Okay, we're in business. All right, I see it here. Yep, sounds good. Okay, we're in business. Yep, sounds good. Okay, we're in business. Beautiful. I know we got the echo there. Sorry. All right, how's everyone feeling? I don't think I could even comment on this. Maybe I could try. Why does it look so crooked? I'm sorry, people. Look, I mean, clearly I wasn't prepared for tonight, but oh, Chris, what up, man? You got it. Okay. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble again, as usual. But I I Chris, I've been meaning to hit you up. I definitely got to get back to you. I had a whole new setup going on. I was able to set up a streaming app, and I homie hooked me up with this computer, and I've been working on it. I had to add a bunch of RAM to it, and I don't know. We're trying to get it together. I got myself a webcam with a light, and I'll be able to use the good microphone, and I'll be able to multi-stream, and I actually did it, but still a little rough. I'm still trying to work out some of the kinks, and then when I added these new RAM cards to the computer, like I was instructed to, at least I think I did it as I was instructed to, the computer doesn't turn on now. So I got to get a homie back over here to look at it, and then we'll be back in business, and we can do these live sessions together, split screen. It'll be so much smoother. It'll separate the audio for me. It'll just make everything so much better. So it'll make it a lot easier when I want to edit the videos, download them, edit them, and then like repost them. So I'm excited for that. Should be cool. Uh, yeah. So how you feeling, homie? It's good to hear from you. I don't know how that storm treated you, how those hurricanes were for you. I hope it wasn't too bad. Heard all types of crazy stuff. Um, yeah, man. Yeah, the new setup's gonna be great, and I do have the means to. I have to pay. It's not even expensive, but it'll let me multi-stream, so I'll be able to stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I have the whole setup. I was looking at it, but I just had to pay for the premium, and I was about to do that, but now the computer's not even working. So, but we will get there for sure. It's gonna be cool. I got a taste of it at least. There's a few videos up there that where I did it. The video is much higher quality, and the audio also because I can use my big microphone. So yeah. Oh, you said chilling, free, safe, and living. Beautiful, beautiful, man. That's what's up. That's good to hear. It's good. You're a good soul. I got a bunch of stuff. I've been curious about your perspective on some of these things, but I'll definitely hit you up in Messenger and we could set something up. Like I said, I would love to just get Johnny or my homie Ryan back over here to get this computer set up and get everything back the way it should be. Yeah, because I'm an idiot. I'm horrible with computers, and I think I might have just messed it up when I was trying to fix it. So, yeah. So tonight, I really like mostly I'm excited. I would love for people to tune in to the premiering video that I got dropping tonight, and it's about from a past dream session that we did that was about shadow work. It was the deepest dive I ever did on that. Okay, you said whenever you're ready. Okay, cool. Definitely. I'll definitely hit you up, man. I'm excited for that. But yeah, I got this video dropping at exactly 11:11 tonight, and it's the edited version of the extensive live dream session that we did on shadow work. I've just been really excited for this one because this one it's important to me, and I think it could help a lot of people, honestly. So I'm excited for that to drop. Not sure what type of traction it's going to get right away, so I was hoping I could steer people towards that video tonight on my YouTube channel here at exactly 11:11. The video will be dropping, and it's a good one. I promise. It's no filler, no nonsense in between. It's all straight value information and real world examples on how to incorporate your shadow self. But tonight, I wanted to see what type of fun we could have. I threw it out there as a question. Dee Dee responded, of course, with a great answer back and said that we should talk about tachyons and time travel. That's something that we haven't done a deep dive on yet. I may not be so prepared for it tonight. I didn't like I don't necessarily have a bunch of notes, but I have been doing some research on it, and it's just something that I've been interested in for a very long time. Something we've talked about here before, and it's one of those paradoxes that kind of boggles the mind. So, anyone who wants to learn anything about like tachyons and causality, the laws of causality, they shouldn't expect a clean answer. None of the conclusions that you could potentially come to with any of these things are comfortable. It's all very abstract ways of thinking about things because when you're questioning the nature of reality, when you're questioning time, you're questioning the nature of reality, I should say. So I think it's just a fun topic, and I don't know, fun to talk about. And I had to talk about something tonight. So cheers out there to anyone. Chris, definitely can't wait for you to join me live. YouTube, honestly, the reason I'm transitioning to YouTube is, I mean, it's just a better platform in general. Robin Hood, what up, man? I'm not sure who that is, but what up? People with the weird names on YouTube. Is that Ryan? No, Ryan, you're like decor something, right? Dark decor something. Who's Robin Hood? Were you here for the last session? I don't know. It's all good. Uh, actually, I mean, you ain't got to tell me your name, but I'm sure it's one of my homies. I sent out some of those links, so I hope they reached some of you guys. That's cool. Uh, yeah, tonight I wanted to talk about tachyons and time travel. I'm just curious. Like I said, I'm gonna keep repeating it. Oh, you seen one a couple weeks ago. You were one of the ones that tuned in a few weeks ago. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we had a live session here on YouTube, and some of you guys were jumping up. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, man. Thank you for coming back. That's cool as hell. That's awesome. See, that's why I'm trying to transition over from Facebook to YouTube. People jumped on these things, and the communities on YouTube seem to be more geared towards these topics that I'm talking about. The algorithm seems to reach people a little bit better over here. Oh, thank you for subbing, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, good to see you here again. It's cool. YouTube is the place. Like everything about YouTube's better. The communities are better. Like Facebook, a lot of my people, I love you from Facebook, and I've met some great people over there. But overall, there's a lot seems to be a lot more bots and a lot more nonsense over there and a lot more glitches and everything. So these live sessions are coming over here to YouTube. And tonight I have a really in-depth video dropping at 11:11, and hopefully I could get some people to throw some traction behind that video when it drops. But Didi asked me about tachyons and time travel. I know we've kind of like glossed over it in the past in some of these sessions, but I think it's something that we could address directly. You know, from the video of particle physics that we did a while ago, I did mention that there's a whole bunch of other subatomic particles that we didn't even talk about. Some of them are theoretical, like the graviton. We did touch on that. What we didn't even talk about, though, were tachyons. And tachyons are a really fascinating abstract concept in theoretical physics. First of all, tachyons don't exist as far as we know. There's been no experimental evidence of them. If they do exist, they will be the only known thing that travels faster than the speed of light. This breaks the laws of causality from Einstein's relativity. From our perspective, as we understand things, this is why I'm fascinated with these topics, because it really makes us question, what is reality? Is reality what we experience? As we experience things, we only experience things at the speed of light. Everything that we encounter only happens at the speed of light. Actually, in a really strange, abstract way, a lot of astrophysicists talk about how we're all moving at the speed of light in a way. So let's break it down to the bare bones of this, because some of this gets pretty mind bending. And like I said, this is all theoretical here. We will talk about what experiments have proven some of the facts, but in the beginning, just talking about tachyons, it's all theoretical. This is all ideas that these physicists have had, which these ideas, you said, like the fourth dimension. Exactly. Yes. We can't talk about this without talking about the fourth dimension. Exactly. Some say, and in some fields of study, they even use it in their equations, they use time as the fourth dimension. So the first dimension gives you length, the second dimension gives you width, and the third dimension gives you depth. But you can't have experience with just the physical structure. Strictly with the geometric structure, there's no chance for experience as far as we understand it with our human brains, with our physical 3D human brains. We can't experience anything without the flow of time. Because without the flow of time, everything stands still. We can only see things. So a lot of times, so they use time as the fourth dimension, but it is not a geometric dimension. It's its own dimension, which is why some would argue that time is not a dimension. Time is more of an illusion of fluctuating frequencies. So how does that work? There's a bunch of different analogies we can use, and I'm going to go through some of the analogies tonight, but obviously it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than you could fit into any analogy. But yeah, these are hyperdimensional concepts that we're trying to understand through our three-dimensional brain. So I don't think that there's any way to grasp these concepts without throwing some imagination in there, because these things really stretch the limit of our understanding. They are paradoxes. That doesn't mean that they can't be true. That means that they're true, but they seem like they can't be. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm not sure if Dee Dee's gonna make it here tonight. It was her question. She was the one that asked about this, but I know she's gonna watch the replay. So, speaking of time travel, Dee Dee, this is me from the past telling the future you that I appreciate your question, and I know this will reach you, not at the speed of light, but it will reach you. So, we can't really talk about time travel or dimensions in this aspect without talking about Einstein's relativity. The basic understanding of Einstein's relativity that most people come to is how we experience reality at the speed of light. We can only see things when the light reaches our retinas, reaches our eyes. We understand this. Most of us have heard in elementary school, our teachers tell us if the sun were to blink out of existence, we wouldn't even know it until 8 minutes later because it would take 8 minutes for that light to reach us. We wouldn't see it until then. Since light travels faster, Robin Hood, you said, watched an old 50s movie the other day and he yawned and made me yawn, and the guy would be dead by now. Crazy to think. Isn't that wild? Yeah. You know what? The whole yawning thing is really fascinating. You know, my girl mentioned that earlier. There was a guy in the car next to us that yawned, and she said it made her yawn, and yawns being contagious. Yeah, something really fascinating about the synchronicity of that. But yeah, I mean, that's a different conversation. But then how you say, yeah, from an old 50s movie had that effect on you to this day. You could argue that that's a form of time travel right there. That his yawn transcended time and actually reached you externally outside of the TV screen and had an external effect on you. Fascinating. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So these are the ways that time travel you know, it's all around us and we don't realize it. And also people don't realize that we're time traveling all the time, constantly. We're just traveling forward in time. You know, we're all time travelers. But it's also interesting to think, our memories a form of time travel? I feel like, and even like musical memory is powerful. I think most people have experienced how music can bring back memories. And then dreams. Are dreams a form of ultra dimensional time travel? Sounds crazy. It does sound crazy, but dreams are crazy. The human mind is crazy. Reality is crazy. So I'm not saying with this video that tachyons are real. Actually, I personally think, yeah, I'll explain that later. But I think that these are the right questions to ask, and these are what has pushed us beyond our boundaries to understand much deeper and broader and more fundamental aspects of our universe. Robin Hood, you said supposed to mean you're sympathetic, like a serial killer won't yawn when seeing another person. It was a part of a test. Yes, or I would say empathetic, right? Because empathy is being able to connect with those people. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to mean that. I think it might be more than that, honestly. But yeah, that's a fun way of looking at it. Because you know, like someone who's completely psychopathic. Chris, you said, what do you think about a tachyon traveling backward in time? Okay, well, this is where we break the laws of causality, and this is the problem with it. But um, it doesn't seem, honestly, it's not impossible theoretically. So let's talk about that. First, we have to talk about, like I said, the experience of time. We experience time at the speed of light. I think most of us, like, intuitively can kind of understand how that works. The issue with this is that sometimes, you know, Einstein used to talk about spooky action at a distance. We know that particles can be entangled, and that the only there can be instantaneous connection between the two. We've talked about this, and I didn't necessarily want to make this video about this, but I feel like tachyons also support the real observance that we have on entangled particles, what Einstein considered to be spooky action at a distance, and superposition also. You know, so when they entangle two particles, and this has been proven experimentally, tachyons haven't been, but this is evidence for tachyons. When you entangle two particles and separate them by any distance, anything you do to one particle will have an instantaneous effect on the other particle, or it seems instantaneous, at least faster than the speed of light. So this could be supporting evidence for tachyons. That's what Einstein called spooky action at a distance. Robin Hood, you said, I think it would open a new timeline to change the past. Yeah, and that's what they call the grandfather paradox. If you were to go back in time and and kill your grandfather, then you would have never been born, and then you would have never been able to go back in time to kill your grandfather to not be born. So you would have to have been born anyway. So you wouldn't be able to go back in time and kill your grandpa. So sure, sure, and that's where it gets mind bending here. But let's say when we're thinking about this, I think the best framework to lay out in the beginning here is just the concept of infinity and infinite and time being nonlinear, obviously. So if it's, on the x and y axis, you can't really look at it that way. If you can make your grid three-dimensional, and then like we were talking about fourth dimensional, hyperdimensional, I think it's a more comfortable way to view time. Einstein also took part in merging space and time. A lot of times we like to think of space and time as two separate things, but in this sense, they can't exist without each other. They're one. So, yeah, it would open a new timeline to change the past. So if we think about infinite outcomes, every single time that our frequency shifts, because every single moment is a slight change in frequency, that slightly different frequency could be a slightly different reality. Every reality may be static, and we may be merging into and out of these different realities based on what frequency we're tuned into. So, with that idea, you could say that we could travel backwards in time, and then these tachyons would help support that. We know that superposition is a strong, very widely accepted theory in quantum mechanics. The superposition of a particle, and I have a bunch of videos talking about that, and I could always link them in the comments. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to link my particle physics video and my quantum reduction video in the comments here, because that really does help explain a lot of this stuff. But or at least just the particle aspect of this, because from the particle physics perspective, they believe that every single thing, everything, even forces at the smallest levels have a correlating particle with them. So tachyons would also explain things like dark matter. Dark matter could be tachyons from this lens. You know, between dark matter and dark energy, they comprise 95% of our universe, and we don't know what they are. We only know them from the way that they affect the things that we can measure, but we have absolutely no clue about the fundamental nature about them. Actually, all we have is a bunch of clues, but we don't know for sure. Tachyons could be dark matter, and the force of tachyons could be dark energy. Very, very possible. Dr. Nightmare, what's good? Crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. But these are hypothetical particles, but like I said, they do explain some actual fundamental aspects of quantum mechanics that are well established, like superposition with particles. So, as far as tachyons traveling backwards in time, first we have to talk about how they travel in time and what it would be like if they were to be traveling faster than the speed of light, because that is the concept behind the hypothetical tachyons, is that they travel faster than the speed of light and that they're always traveling faster than the speed of light. Based on Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared, that's energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. So it's not that energy has the potential to be mass times the speed of light squared. It's that the energy is the mass times the speed of light squared. So the mass is the object, the energy is the force of that object, but they don't actually have any type of existence without having some sort of motion through time, which is experienced through the speed of light. it is absolutely crazy, but they're inseparable. So the concept of like these tachyons traveling traveling or being able to be used for time travel. I think even if they do exist in the way that a lot of scientists are speculating that they exist, it doesn't make a very strong argument for actual time travel, depending on your definition of time and experience and reality. So, what exactly is reality? Does something happen if we're not aware of it happening? Is it a part of reality? And this is, Schrodinger's cat, but also just thinking about it through a more practical lens, you could think about our example of if the sun blinks out, you wouldn't even know it for 8 minutes because the light from that sun wouldn't reach you until 8 minutes later. And the shock waves from the whatever event that might have happened are going to be traveling slower than the speed of light. So the sun will blink out of existence, and then however many seconds or minutes later, then you'll feel the shock waves from it. So, when did the sun actually blink out of existence? Can we only define things by our subjective observations? Robin Hood, you said, like, does the branch falling in the woods make a noise if nobody is around to hear it? Yes, that is a good analogy for this, but as far as like the physics perspective of that, that's actually a lot easier to answer because but yes, you're right. That's exactly what it is. But the whole issue with that is that sound is vibrating air that is translated through some type of instrument. That instrument is our eardrum as we understand it, or a microphone or something. So that one's pretty easy to answer actually, and my argument was that yes, of course it always makes a sound, even if nobody is there. If to hear it, if you put a recording device there, it's going to hear it. So obviously it makes a sound no matter what. That's not true. If there is no recording device to convert that vibrating air into an audible noise, then no, the tree makes no sound. All it does is it sends out that shock wave of vibrating air. But that vibrating air does not turn into sound until it reaches some sort of instrument that can vibrate in correlation and convert that into a sound. So yes, exactly. If there is nothing there to experience it, does it even exist? That is the question. So if there is nobody and nothing to see the sun or experience the sun, to absorb the sun's light rays, could you even say that the sun exists? Would it even still be able to exist? Is reality sustainable without observation? And of course, like at first, most fundamentalists, they would just want to say, yes, of course, the planets are still going to be spinning, even if every single life form is annihilated and dead. But I think from a philosophical perspective, it's an important question to ask, especially because the question has re-entered our scientific field with all of these experiments in quantum physics. And like I said, I'm going to link my videos to all of that, the Copenhagen interpretation, and is it observance that actually breaks down the quantum wave function of something into a single observable reality? Does it A lot of scientists argue that it's not the role of consciousness, but it is the role of observation and measurement. So even if a human doesn't do it, even if they have a machine to measure it, it will still be reduced. That quantum wave function will be reduced into a single reality. The superposition of that particle will snap into one position. But don't think that rules out the magic here that we're talking about. Like, when the scientists argue, oh, it's not consciousness that is able to reduce that to one single state of reality. It's just any tool of measurement. Okay, but we don't know of any tool of measurement that has ever taken place without our conscious interference. That tool is an indirect result of our conscious interference. So even if it's not a directly conscious interference, we're conscious that we put that tool there to measure that, to snap the picture of it, whatever, however you want to look at it, and what again, the double slit experiment is something that I already covered in great depth. So I'm going to link those videos in the comments here. But uh yeah, do these things exist because we observe them? That's the big question. And so let's say that tachyons were able to travel faster than the speed of light. Say that someone was on up somewhere far away in space, and say that whatever distance away, that they were to learn how to harness these tachyons, these hypothetical particles. If they were to be sitting somehow on the surface of the sun, let's say, and or you know what, better example, let's just say they're on another planet in some distant galaxy, and someone wants to send you a message through a radio signal, and this radio signal is going to travel at the speed of light through a vacuum as far as we understand it. So if someone were to send you that radio signal, and at the exact same time they were to shoot a tachyon gun at you, this hypothetical tachyon gun, let's say they were to send tachyons at you faster than the speed of light, if they were to send you that same radio signal, say they're trying to send you a message. Oh, what's up, Angela? Nice, cool to see you here. That's awesome. Yeah, say these people were to send you a message with a tachyon gun, this hypothetical tachyon gun that travels faster than the speed of light. And then they were to send you that message through radio waves. And if you were to have a telescope powerful enough to view them at that great distance far away, let's just say you're watching them, and from what it seems, from your perspective, you're watching them live, but you're actually seeing them 5 minutes in the past, because it took 5 minutes for the light to reach your telescope and to reach your eye. If they were to send you a message with a tachyon gun, you would see them send that message after you get the message. So you would be sitting there in your chair watching them through a telescope. You would just see them sitting there. All of a sudden, you would receive the message that traveled faster than the speed of light. And then a few minutes later, you might see them press send on that message. So, even from your subjective perspective, what is real? When did they actually send that message? What exactly defines that? That's really tough to say, I think. Um, the easiest way, I think, to understand how these concepts are even possible in a sense is, like I said, understand that time is nonlinear. If we look at the concept of antimatter and superposition of particles, if every possible reality is existing at the exact same time and we're simply working our way through this, because the motion of time creates experience and shifting frequencies is how we experience things. It's great, like almost every single moment, every single aspect of reality may exist in a single cloud, and this could be what Carl Jung referred to as the collective consciousness. Chris, you said, I would think that it happened in real time. The speed of light has nothing to do with time, really. I think the speed of light is directly linked to time. I don't know. I don't know about that. Honestly, we definitely can't experience, as far as we know, we can't experience anything faster than than the speed of light. So we're experiencing, that's why they say we're experiencing things at the speed of light. Our reality, we're traveling through time at the speed of light. That's why they say that. Yeah, it's tough. These things are kind of tough to understand, but I think an interesting way to look at it is almost like a flip book. Like every dimension, every single layered dimension is like us in a flip book, and then this is in a library full of infinite flip books. You know, or you could say that the character that's in that flip book is making its own flip books. But the point is that the time is just the motion of these separate dimensions. It's not one solid thing that's actually in its own motion. Good to see you got to drive now. Okay, yeah. Yeah, man. Yo, Robin Hood, thank you for jumping in. Definitely, definitely awesome to see you here, and I'll be here in the future for sure. Every week I come up once a week. In an hour, my that premiere video drops, so I'm hoping a lot of people can tune into that. It's a great edited version of our live session that was a deep dive on shadow work, and I really think it could help a lot of people. And I definitely tried to. It's not as mind bending as some of these concepts that we're talking about here. I really tried to. Uh, I try to bring that shadow work out in a way that most people should be able to relate to it and understand it. Hopefully, I did my best with that. So it's kind of tough. Uh, some of these concepts, you know, all of them are mind bending in ways, but you know, so if time is just the experience of alternate realities through shifting frequencies, um, yes, in theory, we would be able to travel back in time. Would we physically be able to withstand traveling back in time? This is that's where it gets complicated. I argue, and I've always argued that we do travel back in time with our memories. The reason that we can even hold on to memories is that we can shift our frequency enough to tune into that reality that must exist somewhere somehow. You could say it's stored in our memory the same way that information is stored in a computer through a series of ones and zeros. But we know that the mind is deeper than that, and that the mind transcends that for many, many reasons. You know, this is the Cartesian philosophy, really. Chris, you said, so when we see a starlight years away that has already gone supernova and doesn't exist anymore, do you consider it to still be there? That's the question, and my answer would be that it depends. It depends on who's doing the considering. Am I doing the considering? Because from my perspective, it's still there. If I can still see it and the effects of it, say that somehow we were able to experience that supernova, or you know, get the shock wave from it, or even if we're seeing it way, way before the supernova, if my arm were able to stretch out to the distance of that star, would I be able to touch it? I would definitely encounter it at some point in between. What if you knew that it definitely was gone already? Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. That's tough. I think that's tough to answer. You know, I really do. Like, is it really gone though? Does does it still exist in those layers of space in other dimensions? You know, that's the question. Well, what exactly would define the fundamental reality of it? and what holds that fundamental reality? I don't know. That's why I said there's gonna be no comfortable answers with any of this stuff. Hmm. Uh, you know, even when we're talking about entanglement, but to you, it's just old images carried at the speed of light. True, but nothing is gonna try. As far as we know it, nothing is gonna move faster than that speed of light. So even by the time the light reaches me of that supernova, that star could still actually the physical aspects of that star could still be there. That's the issue. That's what makes this so mind-bending is that that explosion. I mean, in theory here, and we're talking about, spanning great distances, like, instantaneously or whatever, but let's say, like, by the time that if that light is traveling that much faster than the explosion, the the electromagnetic radiation of that explosion, there will be still a star there, and if I'm at the right distance, it would look like it exploded already if that light hit me, because the light is traveling way faster than the actual explosion. So, depending on where you're at, this is where it gets tough and where it gets complicated. How do you where do you wanna view it from? What lens are we looking at it from? That's really tough to say, and that's where the tachyon thing comes into play. If those tachyons were to reach me earlier, then that star might still be in the first stages of its explosion. It's and if tachyons travel faster than the speed of light, then the star could still be there by the time I see it explode. This is this is where it gets paradoxical. It's really tough. I think I think that it depends. I don't think that there's any fundamental yes or no for any of that, honestly. Because like I said, everything. The issue with that is that the lens of time. If you could negate time and travel instantly, it would be gone. So what is real? Exactly. Exactly. If you could negate time, the thing is, travel instantly where and how? I don't think that instantaneous travel can even be understood physically. Physically, there is no separation from space and time as we understand it. You can't have, that it violates the law of causality. It would say that uh, if I were to beam you a message from a distance, that you'll actually not only will you see me beam it before I even do it, but it would say that it would say that I beamed it before I even experienced myself beaming it. This is where it gets. You said, yeah, no idea on that one. Yeah, it's tough, but that's why I think that, so physically, this is where we get tripped up, because we try to understand these things through a physical lens. But I think if we think hyperdimensionally, non-physical, what would be, first of all, let's say that we're speaking of dimensions geometrically here. First dimension length, second dimension width, third dimension depth. Let's let's so that's geometrically. Let's go one step beyond that. Let's argue that time is the fourth dimension. What would be a fifth dimension? What would define a fifth dimension? It would have to be something that's not 3D, but something that is still experiential in a way. I think that personally, I feel like the digital dimension, the that is its own dimension. You know that that information exists. It is there. It's its own deep world. It appears to be 3D, but it's not. It's so I do feel like the digital dimension is another dimension. What would be another? What would be a different dimension? Now, what would be a sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th dimension? How could we even perceive that? And then if we're talking about infinite dimensions, what would those dimensions consist of especially if they're infinite? You could argue some of them are just a slight shift from these dimensions that we experience. Sure, there's that. But we're talking infinite. What would other dimensions be? Are dreams other dimensions? Dreams could be other dimensions. Can you travel backwards in time in your dreams? You definitely can. So, is time travel possible in both directions? I believe it is. Is it physically possible? As far as we understand it right now, no, it is not. The issue is that if you were to travel backwards in time from your perspective, everything about you would travel backwards in time, including your atomic structure, which would be dismantled. So, you know, how do you do it? You have to do it non-physically. You have to do it mentally, or some would say spiritually. But I believe I believe the power of mind is definitely the best approach there. I do think the power of mind can transcend time. I really do. But can our physical bodies do it? As far as I understand physics, I don't see that being possible, but we may find a way that it is, and that would come through understanding and detecting these hypothetical tachyons. So it's there, and people have written really, really in-depth books about this, and there are some actual supporting experiments. Just none of them have been conclusive. Chris, you said I would think that any other dimension would be impossible to comprehend with our barely fourth dimensional brains. That's a great way to put it, barely fourth dimensional brains. I agree. But then what is mind? What is imagination? Where where do our thoughts exist? What are thoughts? Are thoughts simply the byproduct of electrical stimulation in our brains? We know that there's also a neural network within the heart. So, in a way, and I'm not making this up, this is very, very well understood nowadays. Sorry. We do think with our hearts in a way. Our heart feeds sensory input back to the brain, and they feed sensory input to each other. And there are ways that our heart actually directly affects all of our anatomical structure in ways to guide us in different directions. So we do think with our hearts in some ways, and the heart has a measurable electromagnetic frequencies that we can measure from distances, similar to the brain. So, uh, yeah, okay. So what is mind and what is imagination and what are thoughts? Are they another dimension? You said your best guess is that, like I said, it would be mental slash spiritual, which would incorporate dreams and imagination. Exactly. And I don't think that's a tough. I think it's not stretching it too much to come to that potential conclusion. Because we're it's all speculative here. But I really feel like, and that's why I love these topics. That's why I love the topic of multi dimensions and relativity, because And when we're talking about dreams, these things are really unavoidable, especially if we want to talk about the fundamental nature of these things. Uh, yeah, what is real? That I don't know if that can be answered in a single sentence, but definitely what it's reality is more than what we perceive. I think we can all agree on that. Reality is much more than we perceive, so why rule out the possibility of dreams and imaginations being other potential realities, other potential dimensions? You know, just because we're not directly experiencing them physically at this moment as we understand it, doesn't make them less real. Some of them might be just as real as what we see around us right now. I do think that's possible. So, yeah, I think I don't I don't know how much farther we want to go on that. It's a lot of fun, but I do have that video dropping at 11:11 tonight, and I definitely want to sign off before that and prepare for that. I'm hoping that some of you guys will be able to tune in when it actually drops. That would be great to get some momentum and some traction on that. Uh, I don't know. This has been honestly the journey through most of these topics has guided my focus and my research so much. Like I haven't been following the election. I don't like this stuff has been everything, and you know the family has really been occupying my mind. But yeah, I might want to call it a night soon here. I really wanted to cover a little bit about some of those mind bending concepts, and really just wanted to let people know that they should tune into that shadow work video. Chris, you said you're going to be crashing too. Okay, yeah, yeah. Check the video out tomorrow. It's going to be dropping 11:11 tonight, and it'll be up there. It's going to be on my YouTube channel, just as one of the regular videos. You know, it's not nothing different. And then I will be sharing a bunch of reels from that, so you guys can definitely expect to be seeing a lot of that stuff in the future. But yeah, this has been fun. Dee, me from the past, again, reaching out to you in the future. Thank you for the question. Great subject, lots of fun. We could always pick it apart more in the future, and we could talk about some of the specific experiments and some of the conclusions we might come to from sorting through some of those. I think that could be a lot of fun. But it's been about an hour. I mean, it took me a while to get up here, but yeah, thank you everyone. And definitely tune in about 40 minutes. The video will be dropping, and I'm going to be sharing it all over. So it should help a lot of people. I really think it will. And I appreciate all of you out there. It's been a lot of fun. Can't wait till we get the StreamYard and the actual webcam working and we can really legitimize these sessions a little bit more. We're getting there though, believe me. I'm working on it. I'm actively working on it. Thank you. I guess I'm gonna call it a night. Peace and love, everyone. I appreciate all of you. Definitely look out. I'm gonna be sharing the particle physics video and the quantum reduction video in the comments section here. Thank you, everyone. Good night, Chris. Peace out, homie. I'm not even sure how to end the live on YouTube. Okay, yeah, here we go. Peace out, everyone.